All right, transcriptions are on, and I'm letting everyone in. Boom, there we go. I'm gonna mute everyone out.
We're getting.
Oh, I think I muted you too, Caroline. So you might have.
Yeah, got it. I was going to say we've got 46 people already, even on the hour.
On the hour, 46.
On the hour.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? I mean, even on a holiday, because here in the US, right, we've got the 4th of July, great holiday. For those of you that are returning, you know the format of the Monday morning meetups. For those of you that are brand new, this is a call that Caroline and I do every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. We've got some background. If you can mute yourself out, guys, that would really help us. All right, perfect. So we do these calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m., right? Eastern time, 5 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. GMT for you that are out in London. Now, here's the thing. There's short calls between 15 to 30 minutes, right? These calls are intended to give you the best of the best information that we can possibly give you as it relates to life, as it relates to running a business, as it relates to you personally, as it relates to family. We throw different things in here. We speak from our own experiences. We speak from the experiences of other individuals. We ask that you show up on time because these calls are short. You don't want to miss anything. They are not recorded, so the recordings will not be shared. We ask that you show up on camera when possible. We know that there's a lot of people that might be en route to work, trying to get the kids ready in the morning, maybe at work. So if you're not able to be on camera, that's fine. But if you are able to be on camera, please do so. That's going to help you with your confidence. Right? I was speaking to a group of people yesterday in one of my mastermind programs, and I was telling them that confidence leads the way to everything. Like, confidence is the beginning point of everything. If you're confident in yourself, you'll be confident in life. You'll be confident in business. You'll be confident when you're interacting with people. You'll be confident in the areas that you may not necessarily have strengths in. Right? So confidence is one of those things where the way you do anything is the way you do everything. All right, so I want to make sure. It seems like someone else is unmuted too. Do you hear that, Caroline?
Yeah, a bit of background.
If you are unmuted and if you have background noise going on, please mute yourself so that we can jump into here. All right, so if you are unmuted, please mute yourself. All right. So now here's the quote for the day. We like to start these things off with a quote of the day, and I'm going to give you a quote from Jim Rohn. This is one of my favorites here. And Jim Rohn says, don't say, if I could, I would, right? Don't say, if I could, I would. Say, if I can, I will. If I can, I will. So don't say, if I could, I would. If I say instead, if I can, I will. And the beautiful thing about this is we live in a day and age where everyone can. Right? What are your thoughts on that, Caroline?
Absolutely, yeah. That's such a great one, isn't it, from Jim Rohn? It's about just phrasing something differently, that will make a massive difference to your confidence about it. You know, it's like the thing that I said the other week about, you know, when people say, you know, I wish I could afford that. I then started saying, how could I afford that? How could I make that happen? You know, I want that thing, that house, whatever. How can I bring that in to make that happen, as though it just sort of feels like it's just something that is like a problem I just need to solve, you know.
You're thinking about it differently.
You're thinking about it differently, and don't, you know, saying I could if I would is sort of, so it's sort of diminishing your power, isn't it? And whereas if I can, I will, gives you that confidence that you need. And even when your business is established, businesses will go up and down, and it's having that confidence throughout your business, you know, as well, and in life, to sort of think, you know, I can, I will, I can do this, I'm confident. So it is about just reframing the words that you're using. So important. and Ty and I were just chatting before we came on here. I've got a conversation to have with someone in my business team today because we've had a decline in the last series, and I just don't want to have that conversation because I hate conflict. So I need to go back and self-reflect and write down, I am a good person. How can I be solution orientated rather than problem orientated with this person, that protects them and me, so I need to sort of go through, I need a walk and to go through some of that conversation and how it's going to sort of pan out in my head and when it actually happens as well, because I hate conflict.
And speaking of self-reflection, we're going to give you guys a couple of self-reflection questions today. Questions that'll help you to get to better understand who you are and that'll help you to better move through life. But before we do that, we gave you some homework on Friday, right? So who remembers what the homework was on Friday that we gave you? Let me go into the chat box, and you guys should see where the transcripts are being enabled. So the homework that we gave you on Friday was basically over the weekend to be conscious of your thoughts. So as you're moving around, this is a holiday weekend here in the US, right? In Canada, Friday was a holiday. To be conscious of your thoughts and also to be conscious of your words, as well as the words of other individuals that you might be around this weekend. So who had a chance to do that? I was speaking to someone yesterday who is part of this group, and they said, Ty, this entire weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, I had a chance to really think about my thoughts. I had a chance to really monitor the words that were coming out of my mouth. And it is challenging, right? Like, you don't realize the negative things that can come into thought, the negative things that can come out of your mouth until you start to monitor them, right? So if anyone wants to come in and kind of talk about their experience this weekend, raise your hand. We'll bring you on for about a minute or two. I'll ask you a couple of questions and then we'll move on. So anyone who wants to talk about their experience with this exercise over the last couple of days, raise your hand and then we'll bring you on.
I'm trying to see anyone.
Right. And then we still have more people that are coming in here. So I'm still letting people in as we do this. All right. So we got Christina Edwards. Christina, I'm going to ask you to unmute. You should be good to go here.
Hi.
Hey, Christina. Good
Hi.
How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. You know what? I think it might be my end that we're getting an echo from. So I'm going to mute myself out. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and I'm going to mute myself out. What was your experience with this exercise this weekend? Like, what were some of the things that you noticed about monitoring your thoughts, monitoring the words that come out of your mouth, being conscious of the things that other people say, and what did that look like for you overall?
It's something that I've actually been working on for quite a while. I used to sort of I used to make a joke with myself and say, speak nicely to yourself, you stupid cow, which is, of course, a silly thing to say to yourself. So I've been kind of working on that for a while. And I have become a lot gentler with myself. But what I specifically notice still is my overreaction to things that come in from outside. And my kids, I have two 16-year-olds. They are very good at whining, like many 16-year-olds are. And, they'll come, they have an emotion and they come to offload it on me. And my reaction is this, oh, go away, oh, I can't stand it. So what I'm trying to imagine, those party, it's really bad quality cans with like these little party fluff that you can throw at people, these little colored things. I've been trying to go through this mental exercise that when they come to offload on me, I imagine them standing with these two party guns going, sorry, I'm making myself cough now. And I kind of imagine these color floof things that just kind of go and fall behind me. And that's kind of helping me receive it better because it's not actually intended for me. It's just them kind of getting an emotional release. So if I kind of visualize them just sort of flying past me and falling on the floor as these pretty little strings of color, then I can handle it a lot better. So that's sort of been my my weekend fluff.
That's so good, isn't it, Ty? Because it is that I had a few instances over the weekend when I overreacted to a few things. Then I think, oh, I'm only doing that because that's what I would have done in the past. And so I've checked myself in the middle of it. One of the things that I used to do that worked well with, once I got through one teenager, I have their photos of when they were really little and cute in my phone. And so if I'm feeling like that, I just get out the picture of them going cute, cute faces, and then I think that's who I am, that's who they are, and that manages it. But that's a great strategy. I like the colors and the fluff as well. But
Yeah,
it's
I'm just reading, somebody's written, it's called Silly String. There you go. That's
Silly
what
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Liking that. Cool exercise.
It's a pain to get off the sidewalks. My kids used to have it or in the grass and things like that. But listen, we're so responsive to things. We're so reactive to things that we could all have different approaches, right? So Christina, your approach is, hey, watch your talk. You're talking to yourself saying, watch your talk. And then that brings you right back to where you need to be in the present, right? I love the fact that you have that. I'll do the same thing. There used to be a practice that I used to work on, and it would be cancel. Whenever I hear a negative thought that would come into place, right, in my mind, it's like, hey, cancel. Even right now, as you're talking to people, or as I'm doing events and I'm speaking to people, I'm speaking to hundreds of people or thousands of people, you get all types of thoughts that come into your head. Would you believe that? Right? As you're talking to people, you get a ton of thoughts that come into your head. And the more people, especially like right now, everyone's looking at me, right? So you're getting dozens of thoughts that come in. And then you're just like, hey, cancel. And it helps you to, number one, start to grow that muscle, build that muscle of being conscious of when those thoughts are coming in. And then it gives you just a way of dealing with it. So like Christina said, hey, watch your words, right? Who else wants to jump on? Christina, I love it. Thank you for
That's great.
confidence to come on, right? I see Sam, my buddy Sam over here, fellow musician. Sam, how has this helped you out over the weekend? Or what have you noticed? There you go.
Well, I am really happy to be on these calls or this Zoom because I was just feeling like maybe some kind of struggle in my business lately, or maybe it's my mindset. And I even today or yesterday, I was working in my garden and I thought of something I did in the past or something, and I was like, I'm so stupid. And then I had changed myself. Like, no, you're not stupid. I said, there's thoughts just always going through our heads constantly. But really this Zoom call, I think, has really made me kind of think again about my why, and also putting my vision out in front of me, to kind of like the carrot in front of the stick, the stick. This how you say that you put the carrot in front of the stick in front of the whatever to make you go further. And I started thinking about my goals and my why, and just asking myself a question, like, why not me? Why can't I make $1 million? Why not? If there's some people out there making billions of dollars a year, why can't I at least make, $1,000 a day? Why just a little, because I feel like, we're making progress, but I think sometimes progress is so slow. It doesn't come as fast as I want it to. And so I'm like, well, then when I start asking the question, why not me? And then I start saying, well, what do I need to know? What gap am I missing? And so I guess maybe start asking myself these questions and start, instead of like saying like, I'm no good, or, well, obviously because you're stupid, I'm thinking like, well, what else do I need to know? What other effort do I need to do? And I think even like some personal struggles I've gone through in the last couple of months kind of discouraged me a little bit. And so now I feel like, instead of discouraging me, they're motivating me now to be like, okay, now if I need to turn the temperature up on my activity a little bit and get less distraction from clickbait and stuff like that, because it's easy to get distracted in your business. I don't know, for me, it's easy to get distracted. So I'm really excited about these calls. It's not really big, no big new revelation, but it's just basically put me back on track of looking at my goals and not my problem. So anyways,
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me be on this Zoom.
Do you know, I think that you've said some really interesting things there as well, Sam, because I think that when you're going through those thoughts, and I've had some this morning, you just all of a sudden you because we're born to catastrophize, aren't we? Fight or flight, you know, we start beating ourselves up and talking to ourselves like we'd never talk to a friend. Ty, you're muted.
I was just saying, we sensationalize everything.
Yeah. Our past, I do that. And I think it's so easy when you're in that sort of spiral, like when you were gardening, and I sort of had this morning, where you just all of a sudden you feel like you're on your own, but no one else feels like this, you know, that everyone else has got it going. And that's why these calls are so great, because it gets you to sort of think, you know, Ty's, you know, earning more money than I am at the moment, but yeah, he's gone through all of that, and he has those moments, and you know, he's gone through that sort of journey, and he, you know, it's always a continuous journey. And you know, when you were saying why not me, maybe just it's a case of, even that is self-critical, isn't it? You know, they're you know, millionaires, these people out there are millionaires and billionaires. Why not me? It's like, why? You know, come on, why? That in a way could do, that might be the thing that drives you, but it could do harm, as opposed to, okay, I'm good, you know, and write down all your strengths. I'm a genius, as you are. I can do this, I can do that. These are all the things that I've done that have gone really well. So how can I become a millionaire? You know, what do I need to do to become a millionaire? They can do it, I can do it. And as opposed to sort of the why not me? I mean, you could sort of say, why not now? You know, but I always say how is a good open word to use, because then that makes you think, okay, it's just I'm a solution orientated person. It's just a problem that I've got to get the solution to. But yeah, I think knowing that everyone goes through that as well that's why these calls are so good, I think.
Everyone goes through it. Listen, the millionaire looks at the guy that's making 10 million and says, how come I'm not making 10 million? What am I doing? The guy that's making 10 million looks at the guy that's making 50 million and says, hey, why am I not doing that, right? The guy that's making 5,000 a month looks at the person that's making 10,000 a month. Everyone suffers from it, right? Just like imposter syndrome to a degree. Everyone suffers from it at some point in their life, right? Now, the thing about this is, these practices, it doesn't come in and go. Like, these are continuous practices where day in and day out, or as often as possible, you got to work on these things, all right? Pamela, I see you've got your hand up. Pamela, what have you found out? Good morning. What have you found out over the weekend about this practice that we kind of give you guys some homework on?
So this is actually something I've been working on for about the past 4, 5, 6 weeks consciously. I found that I was having too many negative thoughts, and I was actually beginning to depress myself, which is really depressing. So it's been, I'm approaching it in a couple of different ways. Sometimes when it just gets to be so negative, I'm thinking, well, wait, stop, what are you doing? And then I'm focusing on that negative thought and seeing how I can turn it. If I can't turn it, or if I can't see a way to take a shoot from it, then I'm doing the cancel, alt, delete, control, alt, delete, undoing that thought. It just, I can't allow it to take root in my conscious, my subconscious, my superconscious, because that is going to just, you know, put concrete on my feet and leave me where I'm at right now. So it's really just, and it's been in the last 4 weeks, I've been super conscious of my own thoughts. And I still get them. I mean, everyone gets negative thoughts. It's just the way we are. But I'm now consciously working on, how do I turn that to a positive? How can I address that? And is that thought really important anyway? You know, to the rest of my life, is that really an important thought, or am I just getting bogged down in the unnecessary? So yeah, so my focus, honestly, as I say, is how do I spin that to a positive? And if I can't do that, then it's a control, alt, or cancel, alt, delete, whatever. It's just, it's not something that I can allow to drag me down. It's not easy, and it's very much an ongoing process. But I have to believe that that is going to get me where I need to go.
I love it. Do you find that just being a little bit more conscious of your thoughts helps you to not put as much weight on things that you shouldn't be putting weight on, or that you would have before?
Oh, absolutely. I find that the minute I start to even get an inkling of a negative thought coming in, I'm just going, no, that's not where I need to be. This is not helping me. It's just going to take me right down that slippery slope again. So I'm becoming more and more conscious each day. And as I say, the minute I get that inkling, then I'm sort of like all over myself saying, no, this is not how it wants. This is how it's going to be, or this is not a thought that you need in your head. So I deliberately think of something else, completely off tangent, off subject, whatever. I deliberately go into a different thought somewhere else.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
You know, and one of the things that you can do, guys, also here is thank you for sharing that, Pamela. And thanks for being with us again this morning. One of the things that you guys can do is you listen. Automatically, what we'll do is whenever a thought pops up, we think about the past. We go into our index of disastrous things that happened in the past, and we probably have a ton of them. We pull from one of those that fit the current situation, and what that does is that helps reinforce our current situation. Right. So one of the things that you can do is you can consciously put an effort towards doing the same thing, going back in the past, but thinking about a good memory, a good experience, a good time that you've had, and bringing that into the present. And it totally overrides that negative thought that you might have had. Because we can only think of one or two things at the same time. Well, one thing at the same time, right? I don't think there's anyone on the planet that can think of two things at the same time. So you have to be conscious of which of those two things you want to think of. Is it the negative thing or is it the positive thing? You can do this with stress and with worry, right? Last week, my oldest daughter, I'm not gonna even give you her name. She knows who she is. She sent me a text with something, and I'm like, oh my God, Maya. Oh, I gave you her name, damn it. But I'm like, and this is like first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. And so for like the first 3 or 4 minutes, I'm starting to stress out. I'm starting to be like, why would she even do this again? She's been through this before. And I caught myself. I'm like, what am I doing? Start talking to yourself, right? What am I doing here? And like this, all of the stress and the worry that would have taken place had I not caught myself just totally disappeared, totally went away. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't still have the same concern, and that I'm not empathetic, and that I'm not there to help her. But it's me approaching the situation differently. Does that make sense to everyone? Like approaching the situation and choosing to approach it differently.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's that cancel thing. And what I do is I go, stop.
Mm-hmm.
I do this a lot. So stop. Since my thoughts are creating my future, how is this thought helping my future, and how can I think differently? And sometimes when you're in that spiral of stress and worry, the more specific you get, the harder it is. And that actually, when you decide I'm going to sort of change thoughts, they say, I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks, as I've said lots of times. And one thing that's really helped me, especially when the times were really bad, I would always say, and I got it from Abraham Hicks, since everything's always working out for me, how can I approach this differently? And I have the children use this mantra. We do it all the time. And in fact, yesterday we had a tiny example of, we're racing. My son got a new watch, and we realized that in the UK on a Sunday, the shops are open, but they close at 4 p.m.
Okay.
And it was 3:30. There's no way in hell we're going to get into the city park, get to the jewelers by 4, because he needed some links taken out of his watch. And I'd been so busy. So I felt like I'd let him down, because I promised him we'd get it done on Sunday, and I've been working. Anyway, we just said, I was sort of spiraling in the car because he was having a meltdown in the back. And it's something really simple as this. And I just said, look, guys, since everything's always working out for us, we're going to find a shop that's open till 4:30. It's gonna work out. And if we don't, we'll go out for dinner. We'll have a great time. We'll come back tomorrow, after school. Anyway, we got into and we were going, yeah, everything's, and the children going, yeah, everything's always working out for us. And we did get into town, and then we did find one shop that was open till 5, and we got the watch done. But one of the things that the children have do a lot, and they do this with school and exams, is have this mantra, and we've got it around the house: everything is always working out for me.
Yeah.
And just that simple thing, since everything's always working out for me, how can I think differently about feeling like this when I'm doing the gardening, or feeling like this when my daughter's just sent me this text, or feeling like this when the thought comes? Honestly, it's sort of like it puts the fire out.
Yeah. Before it even starts to really extinct,
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure these sort of mantras help to move my life forward. And you can sort of expand on that by saying things like, since everything's always working out for me, and since I can have everything I want, because we were all put here to have everything we want, and since I can have every situation just as I want it, what do I want? And then that helps you to focus those thoughts on whatever the situation is. It could be a watch, a shop, it could be something big, like a pile of money, whatever it is, health. It really helps to sort of diffuse everything and make it quite simple.
Yeah.
Because I think when these thoughts go in, we get so complex, don't we, in our minds about this is going to go wrong, and it just simplifies it all to sort of, since everything's always working out for me, and since I can have everything just how I want it, what do I want? And that mantra has sort of changed my life.
It's interesting that you shared it. I have something that sometimes you can be comically confident with this stuff too, right? So if we're heading to a doctor's appointment, or we're heading to the airport, right, and we're kind of in that time frame, I'll say to my family, man, you guys are lucky that you're with me, because everything works out. Like, and through osmosis, you guys get to benefit, because for me, everything works out, right? So I'm sort of playing around with it and teaching my kids this, to have the right expectations as well, right? So just throwing it out there in different ways, and just playing with it in different ways, and finding the groove that works for you best, right? Because it may be what Caroline just said. Everything tends to work out for us, or the expectation, hey, things always work out, right? And being super confident in it, and trying that multiple times over and over and over again in different situations, until it just feels right for you, right? Rashawn, my buddy Rashawn up in Canada here. What do you got? How have you found this exercise? What's been eye-opening for you this weekend as you've been going through this?
Well, you kind of touched on it just now about the going into your memory and pulling from certain situations that you have either been in, or that were negative. But for me, like, I'm still new to the stopping myself. So like, I have a really bad habit of, when I do that, I will relive the entire situation. And say, for example, like, I was arguing with someone, like, I would relive that argument in my mind over and over and over again, and think about, well, what if I had said this? What if I had said that? What if I had said the next thing? And then it just kind of, as Caroline just said, you just kind of spiral down with all the thoughts all at once. So this weekend, what I did is, when I would start doing that, I would just stop. Like we talked about on Friday, I forget who the gentleman was. He said he just looked outside his window. Fortunately, I was outside when it was happening. So I just kind of just stopped, and I looked at the scenery, and I just kind of took everything in, and it really just helped to calm my mind. And
I remember you saying that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, just looking at the scene, like, just looking at,
it wasn't me, it was somebody else, but I tried
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
But that makes a huge difference, right? Just like looking
Yeah.
out your window sometimes, and just taking 2 seconds to kind of just calm down, right? And just be within. It's a huge difference. So
Yeah.
It
Sean,
does. It really did help. So whoever said it, I don't know if you're in the chat.
I think it was Carl, wasn't it, who said that on Friday, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
And it
But,
works.
It does. And
Simple,
then
simple.
Yeah, and then I was watching a ET video, Eric Thomas, for those of you that don't know, he was talking about negative thoughts, and he's like, I just let myself, like when I catch myself doing it, maximum like a minute to 2 minutes, I'll just let it sit there. Okay, you have 2 minutes to get over it in your mind, and then after, when those 2 minutes are up, you better be ready to take on the rest of the day. Like, you can't let it sit there and dwell and grow into something super extravagant.
You know, in meditation, some forms of meditation, you learn to think about it, right? You learn to really think about the thought and think about it as if, or look at it as if you're looking at it from outside of your body.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'll do this, right? If let's say you and I are having a conversation,
Mhm.
I'll sort of go outside of my body and think about or look at what I'm saying to you. And then I'm analyzing what I'm saying so that I'm repositioning it if it does not go the right way.
Mhm.
Right. So
I like that, yeah.
there's so many different ways to really approach this thing. So many
Mhm.
different ways. All right. So thank you, Rashawn.
Thank you.
We got someone else, Newman's phone. I'm not sure who. Newman's phone, if you can unmute yourself. It says Newman's iPhone, right? Or maybe Newman, you had your hand up by accident. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Right.
Hello.
Hello, Caroline.
Hi there. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you in the UK right now?
No, I'm from Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Right-
Okay.
Right now in Pakistan. Yeah.
Awesome. So what's been your biggest eye opener regarding this exercise this weekend?
Okay. So I wasn't able to attend that Friday lecture because I was on a trip back to my native city. I do my job in Islamabad, and my city is close to Lahore. If you guys ever heard the name of these cities, so I met my parent-in-laws over there. And over there, we have a discussion that I want to share and how I tackle that with myself. So it was like we were discussing, they were like 73, they loved me a lot and I love them a lot, my both parent-in-laws. I lost my parent quite early in my life, so they are equal, just like my parents. So I was like discussing things that, okay, we can earn more, this is hard time, gas prices are increasing. So it's just, our own self that, drag us back. It isn't the world. But they both of them said, no, you have to, check on your spending habits. That's the right way to live. And, otherwise, no matter whatever your resources are, you would be in trouble, blah, blah. So whenever it happens before, it was like I was deciding at my end, either they are right or wrong, or either am I right or wrong, because they have, spent their life, they have experience. I am not of their age. But now, after like having these conversations, they were not convinced. I was not convinced either. So after some time, I was feeling disturbed a little bit. Then Caroline's voice came into my mind. It was that it's their normal and my normal is different, right? They have been spending entire of their life the way, internet wasn't there. They were not at their education level was not there. So what they are saying is perfectly normal for them, right? But what I am going to explore, and what I want for my children and myself, it's my normal. So that thing, they were right and I was right too. For this time,
Perfect.
I wasn't
Yeah.
deciding between like right and wrong, right? That, okay, they are right or I'm wrong. By the end, there was always a feeling of guilt. They are elders. If I am deciding that, okay, no, I'm not going to listen to them, they are wrong. Even then I felt like, a little down. And whenever I felt like, no, I am right, like in both ways. So it was the most beautiful things. I get normalized. I just love them more and more and more. It's their normal and it's my normal. So that's the
Yeah,
thing.
rather
I really
than judging them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is, yeah, like we were talking about last week. I love it.
Because that was the other part of the exercise too, is right? Is listening to other people
Yeah.
without judgment. You're taking it in,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But without judgment. So I love the way that
Yeah.
you approach that, right? Hey, this is very normal. They've got different experiences than I have, different upbringings, different, things that may have impacted their lives and the reasons why they believe the way they do. And that's their normal, and that's fine, right? And this is my normal. Now, also you presenting or making the attempt to present a new normal to them was beautiful. Now, if people are not receptive of it, that's fine, right? There may be a time when they come back around and they're like, hey, let's have that conversation again.
Yeah. And it's a bit like what we were saying about talking to someone about traveling. If they don't travel and you want to, and you're not going to get a, because they weren't in the e-commerce world, they're not going to be able to think, is this something that you can, can you build a sustainable business? But then you're teaching your son and your children, Abdul, who's he's there, yeah. So Newman's just joined. Hi. They've just joined the revamp program.
We had just a long journey, so he was like, I don't want to, come and talk. I'm tired. I said, no, say hello.
Yeah,
it's very brave.
Yeah, and it's so even something like this can be totally different, right? Like the pandemic took place, and people got used to being on Zoom. People got comfortable with being on Zoom, right? So this could be a new normal for some people. And it can be totally frightening for some people. Now, there's no right or wrong either way. Yeah. It's just this person is this way, this person is that way, right? And that's it. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
One last person, and then I want to get to the 5 reflective questions that you guys should be asking yourself over the next week. It's going to take you about a week to get through these questions because I want you to give some time to them and some weight to them. We got Polly, I knew that was your name.
It's okay.
There you go.
It's all good, Ty. Good morning and good afternoon to you, Caroline. I'll make this fast because I'm going to do a kind of a very fast Cliff Notes version, and I almost vacillated about taking my hand down but then when you mentioned something about meditation, I thought, well, we'll tell this story. I've been practicing this off and on for many years, and after I read Think and Grow Rich, I decided to create my little support group, which includes people who are alive and people who are dead. And he didn't know it at the time. He still doesn't know it, but I included the Dalai Lama in my group just because. So one night I was meditating and I was just trying to calm my mind, and all these thoughts, crazy, even more crazy because I was trying to meditate. And so finally I just said, Your Holiness, help me to get through all this, to how to deal with these thoughts. And immediately I get teared up. I'm sorry. Anyway, I got surrender to the enemy. And I thought, oh my God, don't fight it. Let it pass. And I was fighting it. And it was getting stronger because I was fighting it, because I was putting attention to it. So when I allowed myself to surrender to the enemy, which of course surrendering has such horrid connotations, but in fact, it's very empowering. So anyway, that's all I wanted to tell you. I'm out of here now, so.
No, it's great. Thank you for sharing it. I think it's that awareness, isn't it? That the way that you, whatever practice it is you're doing, but it's that sort of awareness of those thoughts and how they can sort of control us, and how you just sort of let it go, and then you can start to sort of rebuild yourself. And they say, don't they, when you want something, put it out there, and then surrender. Don't sort of beat the hell out of it in your head, but sort of let it go. And it is just about, I think all of these things, when you get these thoughts and you've got different things going on, I always say it's all just about soothing and releasing that resistance. So whatever that soothing is, for some people it's praying, meditating, writing a list of positive aspects or whatever. So I think it's whatever works for you. You have these moments in life when it's just like a wake up, isn't it? Awakening. It sounds like that's what you went through. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, one of the things I want to talk about, Caroline, on one of these calls also kind of alludes to what Polly was talking about, and having this support group, having your mastermind group, which this is a mastermind group in itself, right? But having a mastermind group, a support group of people that may not even realize that they're in your group, people that may not even be alive, right, to this day, people that you can kind of call on, and we'll talk about that in one of our future calls if you guys want to hear about how do you create these support groups. You can have people in your support groups that are of huge influence, right? Without them directly even knowing it. And sometimes they may know it, right? Napoleon Hill talks about how do you do this in the book Think and Grow Rich, which is really powerful. It's a huge problem solver. It's a way for you to really have huge quantum leaps in life as well, because you're pulling from the experiences and the thought processes of other people, right? Rashawn says, I'm actually reading it now. Awesome, perfect. So let's get into self-reflection and then we'll close out. So I want to give you guys a couple of self-reflection questions. And before I do that, let's talk about what exactly is self-reflection. So self-reflection is defined as a mental process that you can actually use to kind of grow your understanding of who you are, what your values are, and why you think, feel, and act the way you do. So when you kind of go in and you self-reflect and become more conscious of what drives you, you can more easily make changes that help you to more easily develop yourself and improve your life. And improving your life in just as many ways as possible, right? Personally, your relationships, your health, your love life, your business life, right? So self-reflection helps with all of that stuff. Now, 5 of the absolute best self-reflection questions that you can ask yourself to better understand yourself are what we'll give you here. And these are questions that I kind of like to ask myself at least once a year, right? Because you'll find that the answer changes. I mean, sometimes the answer can change from month to month. It could change every 6 months. It could change every year. And it definitely changes every decade or so, right? So I think self-reflection is super important, because if you don't truly understand yourself, you'll continue to be a mystery to yourself. It's literally as simple as that, right? And we have so many years of being who other people want us to be. So many years of those layers being piled on and piled on and piled on, that we kind of forget our true identity. Like, how many people, if we're going to be totally honest and transparent, how many people at some point in life, you've gotten away, you feel like you've gotten away from the things that make you really joyful, the things that you truly enjoy, the hobbies that you used to have. You truly maybe forgotten what it is that brings the best out of you. You truly forgotten maybe who you are as a whole, right? And you find that this happens, especially as you start to have more experiences and as you start to come in contact with more people, right? So you get those layers and you have all of these reflections of what this person thinks you should be, this person thinks you should be, this person thinks you should be, and they're all totally different, right? So the degree to which you don't understand yourself is the degree that you actually fear yourself, which is huge. So I want to give you a few questions, some self-reflection questions, and what you'll need is to do this exercise is you're going to simply need one of these, a pen. Please do not use your phone. I'm notoriously known for putting notes on my phone, but when it comes to things like copywriting, when it comes to deep thought processes, you definitely want to write it down. So you're going to need a pen, you're going to need a journal or paper, right? A journal would be beautiful. If you guys have a journal, go out and get a small one. I typically keep a couple of journals around. Sometimes I'll keep one like in my backpack, or I'll keep one here on my desk. This is a mastery journal here. This is a really good journal. I actually have 3 of these. A good friend of mine, Brian Delaney, who is a very well-known internet marketer, sent me that right there. So you guys, if you're looking for a good journal, that's a great one, the Mastery Journal. And then most importantly, you're going to need silence. So you're going to need to do this during a period when you won't be disturbed, all right? So it could be early morning, it could be late at night, it could be when the family's sleeping or when the family's gone. For me, I do these early morning. So I wake up super early when the kids are still asleep, the wife is still asleep, and nothing else is going on. It gives you that chance to really have some time to yourself. So as you go through these questions, don't answer them right away. You're going to feel inclined to answer them right away. Don't answer them right away, all right? As a matter of fact, I want you to give yourself about 10 minutes at a minimum per question, and ideally an entire day per question, right? So that's why I said over the next week or so. Now, the questions that you ask yourself that create the most emotional tension, right, are the ones that you want to focus on the most, that you want to give even more time to, So think about that. The questions that you ask yourself that create the most emotional tension, that you really feel something. And this is why you want to do this when you are in silence and when you have quiet time, because you want to be able to pay attention to that, right? So those questions that bring up the most emotional attention are the ones that you really want to give some time to and really make sure that you're being accurate with your answer, right? Now, here's the questions, right? And think about this. What you're looking for the most often lies in the areas that you're least willing to look. That's why it's so important to do this reflection exercise, right? So the first question is, what do I want? And that's it. We're not overcomplicating these questions. It's not what do I want in life? It's not what do I want in business? It is simply, what do I want? What do I want, right? So you'll find that most of what you think you want is more of what other people want for you, right? Going back to what I said earlier, right? All of the onions, all of the layers, the onion peels, right? You start to peel this thing away and you see what you truly want, right? So you're going to see that most of what you think you want is more of what other people want for you, or what you think they want. Or you'll see where you think that what you want is what society says we should want, what we should have, right? Based on society standards, right? And that's the furthest thing from the truth oftentimes, right? So what do you want? And over doing this for, having society kind of like pile on their representations of who you are for 10, 20, 30 years, you totally lose sight of yourself, right? The second question is, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding? Just as plainly asked as that, what am I avoiding? So what you are looking for the most often lies in those areas where you're least willing to go look. For myself, when there's times when I need to get to like that next level, whether it's the next level of the relationship with my children, the next level of a relationship with my wife, it's often, as crazy as it sounds, like that next level or the next level in business is often in the areas where I'm afraid to go, or where I have no interest in going, or where I've been telling myself that I don't want to go, right? So what am I avoiding, right? What am I avoiding? Right? The third question is, what am I the most grateful for in my life? What am I the most grateful for in my life? And now this is a trick question here, right? Because when we ask ourselves these questions, what am I most grateful for? Again, the canned responses come into play, right? Oh, I'm grateful for family, breathing, being able to live, being able to wake up this morning. I'm grateful for my God. I'm grateful for, whatever it may be, the universe, right? I'm grateful for Caroline. I'm grateful for Joe. I'm grateful for Rashawn. I don't want you to go in that route, right? Because we kind of tend to think that this is the thing that we're most lacking, right? Which could be a benefit to us, or it could be agonizing. So when we start to say, what am I most grateful for in my life? And we think that we don't have it, then that puts us in this position of agony, right? And again, I don't want you to come up with a bunch of canned responses, family, water, life, right? Think about it from this standpoint. If you don't have a true emotional response, you need to dig deeper. When you ask yourself that question, what am I most grateful for in my life? And if you don't have a true emotional response, you need to spend a little bit more time and go a little bit more deeper with it, right? And then the answer will come. It will emerge. It will show itself, right? Now, that doesn't mean that the other things are not important, because those things are totally, it's a given that those things are important, right? So family, life, being able to wake up every day, etc. The fourth thing is, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of, right? There may be certain things or even certain paths that you're not taking because of your fears. This kind of goes back to number 3, right? So by bringing conscious attention to your fear, you can confront them, or at the bare minimum, right, better understand them. So most fears, when you look at them directly, they'll kind of unravel themselves, right? So it's the fear. For me, one of the biggest fears back in the day before I got started in business was the fear of public speaking. I mean, I would go to Toastmasters, I would read a books about public speaking, and it would terrify me to death to speak in front of 2 or 3 people. But along the other side of the wall were the things that I wanted, right? To be able to help people, to be able to see more abundance, to be able to have more enjoyment for myself. Like, it gives me massive amounts of enjoyment to be able to speak to people, to speak to you guys. And here it is, I had that fear. And I didn't even put much thought into it at first. Like, the fear of public speaking really was keeping me away from everything else. Does that make sense? Like, do you see that? Right. So now the 5th one is, and this is basically a 2-for-1 here. So what are my biggest strengths? What are my biggest flaws? And being totally honest with yourself, right? What are my biggest strengths and what are my biggest flaws, right? So if you have a self-loathing image of yourself, in the sense that, like, you don't like yourself very much, it typically means that you're primarily focused on your flaws, right? If you think about, hey, being on camera, I don't like to be on camera, I don't like taking pictures or whatever, it may be that you're putting more effort into those things, like the flaws that you have, right? And you don't have a conscious awareness of your strengths to balance things out. So we have to become really conscious of our strengths so that we can counter when we think about our flaws, right? It's sort of like, hey, I don't like doing this, but I'm great at this, right? And often the strengths really overpower the flaws, and we have more strengths than flaws if we truly take a moment to think about it. All right, so remember, whenever you have a strength, there's a shadow flaw to it, and vice versa. So you want to become aware of both in sort of a yin-yang type of fashion, right? So self-reflective questions to ask yourself, and the benefits of doing so are things that include healing, right? Curing suffering, bringing consciousness into your reality, and becoming aware of yourself so that you better understand and know yourself, right? So the degree that you know yourself is to the degree that you can love and accept yourself and ultimately make better life and business choices. So again, those questions are, what do I want? What am I avoiding? What am I most grateful for in my life? What am I afraid of? And then what are my biggest strengths and flaws, right? So these will help you to get to know yourself better, and as a result, get better results overall. Now, when you answer these questions, again, take the next week, right? We'll come back to them on, today's Monday, we'll come back Friday. So take the next 5 days, a day for each question. Or you can answer all questions of all 5 in one day, and then tomorrow go back and revisit them, and then Wednesday revisit them, and then Thursday revisit them, and Friday revisit them, and then come back to the call, and we'll talk about these things. Now, after you answer all 5 questions, then I want you guys to go over to 16personalities.com and take a personality test and see how that aligns with how you answered all 5 of these questions. So I'm going to give you all 5 questions. I'll put them in the chat box if someone has not already. And then I'm going to give you a link to 16 Personalities, which is a free personality test.
Yeah, it's all in there, Ty. Yeah, I've been doing it as you've been talking.
Superwoman, hashtag Superwoman Caroline is that job there, right? So that's it, guys. I think that doing this exercise is going to give you some real insight into who you are, some real insight into who you are not, right? Because it also helps you to better understand who you're not. And it's amazing to think that all of your life, you could have thought that you were this person, only to find out that you are truly this person, which was the person that you initially were before all the layers started to get piled on, and you lost your identity. Happens to every single person.
And you said, when you said, I'm quoting you, you don't truly understand. If you don't truly understand you, you'll continually be a mystery to yourself. That's so powerful, isn't it?
100%.
Because I bet we can all relate to that.
Let me ask you a question, Caroline. So, and anyone, you guys put this in the chat box. How many people, here's proof of you not truly understanding yourself, regardless of what age you are. How many people act differently when you're around one set of friends, and then you act differently when you're around another set of friends, and then you totally act differently when you're around your parents?
Yeah.
Right? Or when you're around someone that may have known you since you were little.
Yeah.
An aunt, an uncle.
And you play yourself down, or you hype yourself up. If you're not feeling confident around those people, you can hype yourself up. I've done that before when, you know, and exaggerate or whatever, or play yourself down, because you know, it all goes down to the sort of understanding yourself, doesn't it? You, like you say, your strengths and your flaws, but also confidence.
Yeah.
And you know, when we were putting those questions up there, one of the things I thought about, you know, congratulating yourself on your strengths. We've all, you know, our strengths will outweigh the flaws, but it's really interesting when you're really honest with yourself about the flaws, because you'll see that every single flaw, there'll be a solution. Yeah, it could be something like, for me, get better organized. You know, oh my gosh, imagine my business if I was even better organized. So that will turn into some great actions around that. Not being a please people person, that's a classic flaw for many of us. And gosh, can you imagine how empowering it is if I actually don't care, but care about people, but don't try to be great for everyone, but be true to myself. So all these flaws will really, you can really spin them into some positive actions. And maybe you need to take one at a time. But it's back to what Sam was saying as well about becoming a millionaire. I listed, when you sent me those questions, we were talking about it, I listed my flaws. I thought, my gosh, if I can find solutions to these, I could become a millionaire. You know, I will become a millionaire. And so it's really empowering to do this, providing you're really honing in on the strengths, because often we don't do that to ourselves. We'll find the flaws easier to list than the strengths, and there are so many strengths for every single human, you know.
100%.
So self-reflection is key.
Yeah, and I'll leave you with this, guys. You know that you are truly at peace in who you truly are when you're the same regardless of who's around. That's the indicator. When you are the same regardless of who's around, right? When you're the same regardless of if your neighbors are by, or if your parents are by, or if your friends are by, or if you're in a corporate setting, right? Because we think that we have to switch up. Like I totally got a true understanding of this when I started to speak in front of larger crowds. 1,000 people, 5,000 people, and I would come in dressed to the nines, thinking that I had to have the best suit on, right? The best shoes on, thinking that I had to enunciate every single word, thinking that I had to have some words that the crowd could really chew on, right? And give them this image of me being super smart and whatever that definition of it was, because it's different for everyone, right? And my conversion rates were just okay. Conversion rates meaning the number of people that you can actually sell, or the number of people that actually like you, right? They were just okay. When I switched that from saying, you know what, and this was almost by accident one day. I was doing an event in London. It was at the Gloucester, I always screw the name.
Gloucester, yeah.
Right, in London. And I'm doing an event there, and we made it there, my wife and I, but my bags didn't make it. And I had just like literally an hour to jump on stage, and I'm literally in a t-shirt, not even a collared shirt like this. I'm in jeans, and I had like some comfortable loafers or something on, my everyday dress, right? I get up there and I speak to the crowd, and I am the #1 speaker. Out of 10 truly amazing guys, the #1 speaker, did the best and it's because I was in this level of comfort, right? People can feel that energy. They feel when you're truly who you are, right? And that's the test for yourself. Now, whether you're around, like I said, older people, younger people, Black people, white people, women, men, corporate folks, not so corporate folks, people with an 8th grade education, people with the double, triple entendre PhDs and masters and everything else, are you going to be the same person? And that's where you get it. Oh, my daughter is here. Come here real quick, Summer. She doesn't want to come on camera. All right, I gotta go take my daughter to go pick up her best friend, because we're having a pool party together today with 3 people. So my daughter, her best friend, and one of her other best friends. That's our pool party for July 4th. But guys, work on this exercise, self-reflection. Work on being like yourself. And this is the most challenging thing, is to be around other people and just be yourself. And it's hard because you got to find yourself. You have to really find yourself. You got to go back and kind of find yourself. But
Gosh, if you can master that, be yourself in every situation, that's the key, isn't it?
Every situation.
Can you imagine that? That's like the ultimate mastery of oneself.
But you know what, Kiona? It feels so amazing. Like you'll actually have inner conversations with yourself. You're like, man, I feel just great right now. Because you're not pretending.
Yeah.
Right? You're not pretending. So it's just a good feeling here. Right? So that's it. Hey, have a great weekend. Well, we're Monday, right? Have a great holiday for those of you guys who are in the States who are on holiday. And we will see you on Wednesday. Remember, you guys want to make sure that you join every single call. And go into the Facebook group. If you guys don't have access to the Facebook group, let me give you the link really quickly. Go into the Facebook group. Let us know what was your biggest takeaway from today. Or you can also just let us know what have you gotten out of these calls so far. We've got a lot of new people. Here's the link to the Facebook group. Go into that and say, hey, my biggest takeaway from today's MMM call or Money Morning Meetup call was, or what I've gotten out of these Money Morning Meetup calls so far is, and that's it. That lets Caroline and I know that we're on the right track. Or if we need,
and if you're in the, I was going to say, if you're in the FastPass Facebook group, would you also go into the other one and copy and paste in the same message? Because this, you know, this is available for everyone. You don't have to just, as we know, you don't have to just be in the FastPass program to come onto these calls.
Yep.
So it's great.
All right, guys, have a good morning. Go out there and be you.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
I love it. Thank you, everyone.